every other city within New Zealand are no longer found within Hamilton City. Horseshoe Lake is a small wetland here in Hamilton City. It's the last example of wetland that has not been developed, although it's potentially threatened at the moment by urban developments. Many people within the community now have a shared vision that this will be the place where we're going to undertake a really important and innovative reconstruction of the original ecosystems that used to represent the diversity and richness of the Hamilton district. What makes this project internationally significant is that we're actually going to start from scratch here. We're trying to completely reconstruct and rebuild these ecosystems the way they used to be. Horseshoe Lake is the ideal place for this sort of restoration project. The main reasons are that it's publicly owned land and there really aren't any other places within Hamilton City where this could happen. And because of its size, it has an amazing diversity of places where we can do reconstructions. Also, the importance of this location here is that we're right next to the Hamilton Zoo and the Waikato Institute of Technology, the Polytech. This presents an amazing convergence of opportunities.
For me personally, the idea of some kind of restoration or recreation here at Horseshoe Lake, it's not just an idea whose time has come, but amazingly it's in exactly the right place. That if you were to position 100 hectares of forest around Hamilton to act as a kind of stepping stone to get forest birds from the surrounding ranges into the city, this is exactly where you would put it, on the northwestern side of the city and as near as it could be to our most adjacent ranges in the Hakramatas and the Karamu Scenic Reserve and Waiwhakareke.
The major difference about this site compared to other places in the Hamilton district is that it doesn't just present one or two opportunities for restoring ecosystems, it actually presents opportunities to restore at least 6 different ecosystems that were formerly very common in the Hamilton area. We've got right from the lake itself through to the lake margin, onto the flat, poorly drained soils, up onto the colluvial toe slope, and then finally right up onto the ridge and the hill slopes itself. So it's got a great variety of sites where we can do restoration, where we can bring back the plants and animals that suited each one of those different topographic and soil sites.
In the large native forest areas of New Zealand, where I've worked for 20 years, the problems of native birds, there's 3: predation, predation and predation. By introduced mammals, especially shiprats, possums and stoats.
We're really lucky here in the Waikato because some of the cutting edge technology that we need to achieve a reconstruction like this has been developed at Karapiro. We're using the predator-proof fence, the excluder fence, which is also making a name for itself internationally as the only real way that you can cost effectively keep the predators out of the system.
Lots of fabulous and unique birds have been lost forever from New Zealand and we can't bring them back. But there are lots of other extraordinary species that we can bring back because they're still available around in other parts of New Zealand. So species like kōkako and robins could be brought back reasonably readily. But there are others, takahe, kakapo, brown teal, which at the moment are quite endangered, but in the future are going to become slowly more abundant, and they too could be brought back here. The tui bellbird and keruru are treasured by New Zealanders, and us Hamiltonians, we go to other cities and we hear these birds sing and we just think how lucky they are, but those people more or less take them for granted. And this is an opportunity for Hamiltonians to have these species in our backyards.
To keep our options open for the future, we really need to look after all of New Zealand's indigenous biodiversity, and we simply can't afford to lose species or the genetic diversity that goes with them. One of the main goals of this project will be to actually reinstate, to reintroduce many of the native plants that have become locally extinct. Even quite commonplace plants have been severely reduced within our district. When people think of the giant forest tree kauri, they mainly think of the Northland, or northern part of the North Island. Well, actually the kauri used to be quite a common element of the forests in the northern parts of Hamilton City.
Very few people in New Zealand recognise that we have such a rich freshwater fish fauna. And in the last 10 years we've recognised just how rich that fauna is, and the number of recognised species has increased by more than 50%. And the problem now is that so little habitat remains that we're really into a state of trying to determine what we've lost. Because we've lost so much wetland in the Waikato, there are very few areas left that sustain adequate populations of black mudfish. So many of the populations of these fish now are in such small remnant sites that their future is very uncertain, and it's unlikely that they will survive throughout the next decades. The ability to restore a site of this size is very important, because we would be able to establish a really viable population that would be able to survive way into the future.
Something like 90% of all the plants, the native plants and birds and fishes found in the wetlands are found nowhere else on Earth. They are endemic to New Zealand, so that makes them very, very special indeed.
Extinction actually proceeds from the basis of local loss. If we lose things locally, eventually we lose things regionally, and eventually we lose them nationally. And this is the real reason that we need to restore the balance and start doing things locally which bring back some of those species and ecosystems which used to be so common here in the Hamilton Basin.
Doing restorations, like any project, you need to start off with a vision, with people who are enthusiastic and really want to see it through. And it's just the same for when you want to plant up an area. You need to have a vision of what the end product, what you want to see at the end, what sort of that'll drive what sort of plants you're going to need to put in, and what order you're going to put those in. And you also need the right people aboard, and that's not just people who know about plants or planting, not just the experts or the right organisations, but just really enthusiastic local people, because those will be the people who will keep the enthusiasm up and will keep the drive going. Because we are talking about a long-term project, we're talking about something that might span over generations.
Kia ora, my name's Jared, I'm from Hamilton City Council. Thanks very much for all turning up today to this community planting at Mangaiti Gully. One of our first rules is that we have square holes for round trees. Now when you dig a square hole, it gives the roots a much better opportunity to move to the corners, and then just a little dance around it to heel it in. You don't have to stomp it, but you do want to heel it so that it's kind of the roots in the soil are going to adhere and most of the air is going to come out.
We got a notice in the mail saying that people will be planting trees down here on Saturday, and would you like to come and help? I like getting muddy, and I like being around plants. I like going down bushy places like gullies. I like getting to know people, and I like working together with people planting things. I've got green fingers. I like planting.
Generally, I'm not a very much a green fingers type person. I work fairly hard in the business industry, but when we heard that there was going to be planting on down here today, you know, as a family, we made a pact that we were going to come down and do our bit, and it's been a lot of fun. You know, it's not that difficult, and you know, it's been incredible to see so many people turn up to make you know, the planting not only just a community fun event, but you know, learning a lot as we've been going. And it's just nice to meet some of the people that are our neighbours that, you know, through the hectic lifestyles you never get to see. So it's been tremendous.
And as the groups get more involved and they continue to come to one area, they build up a good association with the other people in their community, and so in the end we end up getting quite a good group dynamics that help with that restoration project and a good adoption of it.
You can't leave everything to authorities. This is the sort of project that you and I and everybody else get stuck in and help, and you know, we get a lot out of it.
Projects like this don't usually happen within a city, they usually happen away from where people live, right out in the black blocks, right out of sight, where nobody can really see what's going on. And this is what makes this project even more special. We can get people involved, it's right where they live, they can see how to do it, they can see it happening before their very eyes, see the changes, see the successes.
We don't have to go to offshore islands, we don't have to go to national parks. We can have these birds in our doorstep, and the same species and pest free. And we can do it with a predator-proof fence that's over a reasonably large area, and we don't have to go a long way away to hear kukako, kaka, kiwi, kiriru, tui, bellbird. All these fabulous species that we associate with faraway places.
We're at a critical time within Hamilton City. This is really our one and only opportunity to do this sort of work on publicly owned land of such size and diversity. If we miss out on this opportunity, we've completely blown it.
If you lose a wetland, they're very, very difficult to get back to their original condition for a whole host of reasons we needn't go into. So, thinking of Horseshoe Lake in Hamilton, if that's lost, you can't bring it back again.
We're so used to our instant society and getting results really, really quickly that 15, 20 years might seem a long time to wait for a vegetation sort of to develop into something that feels a bit like a forest. But if you put it in the context that, if, for instance, people went out and planted trees for their babies, by the time those children have grown up into sort of teenagers, they're going to have something really really exciting to go and visit when they're a bit older. It's within generations, it's not multiple generations to get something pretty exciting.
If the people of Hamilton can capture it and look after that lake, and not just look after but enhance it, it will be an absolute little gem, a little gem of wilderness in the middle of Hamilton.